This meeting is called to order, the Selma Healthcare District. We're going to pledge of allegiance first.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do roll call. Do I do it? You do it?
Oh, secretary? Oh, well, I'll do it if you want. Okay, Chair Nelson,
Here,
Vice Chair Seremian here, Treasurer Gallardo,
she'll be here shortly.
Secretary Avalos, Member Herrera. Here. Okay. With that, we'll go to, I'll give you better, but
Yeah, so are there any additions to the agenda?
Public comments.
Oh, public comments? This is a special meeting today, mostly budgetary things. All right, additions to the agenda?
And because this is a special meeting, Madam Chair, we cannot have any additions to the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Under the law.
Okay, and if Annie wanted to bring one thing up,
You
you can.
can mention it
Okay, well, it's real quick.
No.
during public
Oh,
comment.
during public comment?
Go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead right now.
Oh, I had talked to Joey regarding, the door?
That is covered.
Oh, okay. Regarding our first broadcast on YouTube or Zoom or whatever you want to call it, I had a few people, for clarification, they said it was a wonderful meeting. They thought it would be better if we had one camera to see all the board members at one time instead of two cameras splitting it up and the third pointing at the speaker. And so with that, I knew that the city hall with the city council, with the other bodies that use the city hall, it's all set up. We have a dais with the seats, the microphones, the cameras. Joey takes care of that also. So I called Raina at City Hall and I said, what would it take for us, the health board, to meet at City Hall on our quarterly meetings on Tuesday evenings, which has no conflict unless it's a holiday weekend at City Council that usually meets on a Monday where they have off. They would move it to Tuesday. Well, we're pretty flexible as far as that goes. So I kind of was informed that Michael Kirschner that resigned from here, this is something that we have an agreement with the senior center and that we're in discussion with that. So I just want to let everybody know, this is what I'd like to see happen for the years coming, is that we have a nice meeting room with the appropriate camera system, recording and microphones, and a spot that we would go to every time. So anyway, nothing is said or done. I just kind of like did the preliminary legwork for everybody. And if no one has any issues with that, I'll keep going. But it's something that we would have to vote on also as a group. But just to let you know what my ideas were.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Comment? Okay. You need to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Potential conflicts, number 6.
Oh, any board member who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Seeing none, we'll go on to the approval of the minutes. I think you received them from the administrative secretary. Hopefully you had time to look at them.
I move
Okay,
to,
roll call.
approve.
You put me on the roll call?
We put that you were going to be a little late.
It's not this packet, it's a separate packet, right?
It's a motion.
It's in here.
Is there a motion to approve?
Anthony approved it. Or
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Vice Chair Serenian,
Yes.
Treasurer Gallardo,
Yes.
Member Herrera,
Yes.
Chair Nelson, yes. Minutes are approved. Okay. Are you ready? Or do you want to wait?
Yes, no, I'm just gonna use this one. Okay, so the last financial report wasn't put on the last agenda, so that's the one I'm gonna use for today, and then I'll adjust it accordingly. So we should have roughly around 363,055 in the account. In May of 2022, we wrote out 6 checks. Price and Page, 3,079, attorney fees, 2,520, attorney fees, 1,260. American Kids Swim, that hasn't cleared, 7,900. Grant proposal for the Boys and Girls Club, it's 15,000. Timesheet for our secretary, 397.50 in June. We had Leon's Computers for $90. Leon's Computers for $90, attorney's fees 1,530. Secretary with the reimbursement receipt from Walmart 4410. Grant proposal to Swish Boosters 8,652, that had been cleared. Grant proposal to Swish Boosters 4146, that hadn't cleared. That was a place for Amazon order. And all the receipts were attached to their booklet for their proposal agreement. One to Sederma for our board insurance, 3,320.90. Price and Page, 260. Leon Computer, $100. July's balance was 297, 374.86. One deposit on July 13th for 87,489.76. The check for the swim finally cleared in July. The grant proposal for Selma Babe Ruth for the their field maintenance, $2,493.67. One check was voided. One grant proposal to Selma Babe Ruth Home Depot for a purchase order, $2,602.32. And then a grant proposal to Selma Babe Ruth for equipment already purchased by Coach, and all receipts were attached all of this year, 2022, $1,507.93. So that's,
And how much do we have now?
oh, I didn't get that.
Okay,
No.
okay.
So
So we'll get that at the December
should
meeting.
be roughly somewhere close to 300 and about, I would say 50 some thousand.
Okay.
So
Okay, so
we
about,
should, there's plenty of money.
yeah. Okay. So hearing the treasurer's report, I think we need to go on to the budget. And Debbie and I have been working on the budgets. She put the expense sheet together for 21-22. We sent it to you several days ago so that you could peruse at your own leisure. And then we came up with the budget that's before you now. And that leaves about 100,000 for proposals. And if you have any questions,
Can I ask a question?
you certainly can.
So this is the expense sheet, it says for 21-22, and we have obviously a fiscal year that.
Right, but yeah, you're right. It's not, we were just going by what we could come up with, what had been spent.
On
In all
the
of-
calendar year.
Right,
Gotcha, okay.
so it's calendar year, so that we could have an idea of what to spend
Gotcha.
for this year.
That
And
was
it,
my
it can be adjusted, but I think we're pretty close to where we need to be. It leaves about 100,000 for proposals. We left 50,000 in for special initiatives that may come up. You never know when something may come up that we really need to step in and put some money in. And we left the Leon's computers. You may think is a little high, but it depends. Setting this up, if we're going to end up doing this, takes time. He is at our beck and call for any computer issues with any of us. The elections office, I don't know what that was.
That was
48.
because you had elections expenses associated with with the general election.
Right, and it's always about 5,000.
Yeah, and I think it's every other year typically as
It is.
opposed to every year. Plus you had extra expense this year on your mapping for the
Oh, yeah,
2020 census. So
Mhm.
again, that's not an expense you'll have next year.
Right. Right. So anyway, any questions on it? I know you have time to look at it. Letty? Patty?
I don't think anything's out of whack. It's all in the realm as far as what I'm seeing.
So, Colleen, I know with the financial audit, that was a big expense. Are we looking at 10,000 as a?
We
kind
put
of a-
10, I don't think it's gonna be that high. Yeah, no, it
It's
won't.
an annual from here on out. That's,
I left it in there this year just because we're still not caught up with all the audits. You know, we're finishing up 2021 and we should be getting that soon, very soon. And then we've got to get into 2022. So we just left it high and we can adjust it next year since it's supposed to be done yearly anyway.
Question on the 2022, this year's audit. Now that we've kind of pulled in the reins, there shouldn't be, I'll say that loosely, shouldn't be any issues that would create any,
We're
big
not,
expense-
we are
and
not
not
anticipating any. Yeah,
Okay.
we're not. But
you knew what I was trying
Yeah.
to spit out.
But we just left it there just in case. And if that
Okay.
money's not spent, it goes, stays in the coffers and we'll adjust it next year. And he has talked about he felt that we needed to pull in an accountant. That we need to have just a plain accountant. He can't be our accountant. He can only be our auditor. And so at some point, we're gonna have to discuss that. So any others? The insurance, that's a given. The bill comes, Letty pays it. We go on our way and we're happy that we have insurance now. And the special district, that stays the same. And we need to have 100,000 in reserve. That's what we voted on a while back. Any other questions?
So is it your intent to adopt the budget?
Yes.
So
So you need a motion then, right?
Okay, can we open that up?
yes, you did.
Okay. Does anybody have there's my public comment.
I just have a question. So you said that maybe in the future that you might need an accountant. Do you think that like a high-end bookkeeper would do, or?
Yeah.
You're-
A bookkeeper is probably more on key than an accountant, than a
Yeah,
CPA.
it's not a budget.
Yeah, well, and with what Debbie's been doing, she's been doing a phenomenal job. And she's getting everything, you know, into a spreadsheet and, you know, we're pulling up stuff. When we got together the first time to kind of work on it, it was like, oh my gosh, pulling everything from everywhere. But the last meeting we had, she had so much of it already on the computer that, you know, it was very easy to do.
I just mentioned that because it's just thought, my thought was.
Well,
yeah,
his,
an accountant would be very expensive. for-
yes, well, that was your auditor. That was the comment from the auditor. is to have a CPA. You got a good bookkeeper, and I think we do, we might be able to just go with that.
Most agencies of this size would not use a CPA for simple accounting. For auditing, you do,
Yeah.
but for accounting, it's simply a bookkeeper.
Oh, Debbie's learning more every day. She says, so I think she'll be able to handle it very easily. Any other comments? Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Okay,
or
And I will second that.
okay, we have a motion to accept from Anthony to adopt the budget. Danny is second. Okay. Vice Chair Serenian,
Yes,
Treasurer Gallardo, Member Herrera,
Yes.
Chair Nelson, yes. Okay. The biggest part of our meeting. And Joey, were you going to talk about the cost of setting this up?
Since it's in the budget, it's already been adopted, right? So it's necessary.
We haven't adopted, I don't think we ever voted on the, having it on YouTube.
I don't think we got an invoice from Joe yet.
And we haven't had an invoice on what it was gonna cost.
Gotcha.
so do we continue with discussing the proposal?
Well, he has it now.
Okay.
So we're just looking into the cost of what it would be, because your regular fees come and go depending on what we need, but this one would probably be a standard,
So it would be hourly at a slightly higher rate.
okay?
More equipment, I bring my own internet. There's no internet here, so. Yeah. I emailed the invoice.
Okay, I haven't seen that, so what we'll do is we'll table that to the next meeting so that we can get that invoice. Debbie must have gotten it, and she's gone this week. Let me see if I have it.
And
Did you get it? I have it. Yeah, you can have it.
speak on the fact that he and I talked regarding the location. Sure. Okay. So anyway, Joey, also, if there's a chance that we are going to move, we would be using the camera system over there. I know you still have to maintain and stuff, so you might want to footnote in the event that the healthcare board district moves to the other location. As a result of that move, what the cost of your provisions for whatever we're filming versus having it here. I'm just thinking, you know,
Yeah, it'll be a slightly lower rate.
lower rate. So,
Yeah.
and you're already over there. So in other words, that cost of this equipment probably would be not a necessity after, if we were allowed to move.
The only one I would probably still keep is at least one camera for those that are gonna present.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because,
Didn't you say that the city, they're working on putting a camera on the podium?
yeah, we're gonna try to have more.
Okay, all
I
right.
have
well,
two, but which one? I could have sworn I seen a larger amount one. I
Yeah.
have one for $750 and then one for $50. There's another one. right?
Those are the two, yeah.
Those are them two?
Yeah.
Do you want to read that, the $750?
So the 750 was for starting this whole thing. Getting everything all set up from the ground up for YouTube. The first meeting that we had. So it's like 5 hours.
It's 6 hours, actually, 125 an hour,
Yeah.
comes out to
Yes.
$750.
And for something like this, would probably be 2-3 hours. It's not already done. The second part of it.
And then you have another one that you help the secretary scan use
Yeah,
some
she needs some
scanner.
help
That was,
So we get remote support.
Yeah.
For half an hour.
Well, I put that in, you bill us individually when we come in with an issue that is related to computer work and the district.
Yeah.
Yes, and then he does those. So we've already budgeted money for this. So I'm wondering if
It's under that category, right?
it's under proposal and we need to do it as an action item to have him, to accept it, to have him continue doing that.
Once we see the invoice, is that what
We
it
have the
It
invoice.
sounds like
Oh.
you do, it's for
So it's just-
$800
is?
total.
This is part of his ongoing service.
Yes,
Yeah.
so if I could have
so what are we doing? We're paying what we owe you now, your current invoices, and then we're gonna wait to see on the city council to see if that's gonna work out over there,
Well, I think,
or the,
I just wanted to mention the fact of the potential that we might be moving, but as we're here, for the meetings here, we're gonna continue paying Joey and Leon's for services rendered. So I'm just saying that there's a opportunity that when we move, that a different version of this billing is gonna be in effect, because we may not be needing the cameras and the speakers and whatnot if we're using the other venue, City Hall.
so what you're saying, well, the amount of money we owe him is gonna go down, but we're gonna continue.
Exactly, exactly. I just added that as until if we do make the change, that this is, we owe him the $850. So I'll make the motion that we pay Leon's Computers the $850.
Well, it's not an individual thing. What we're
We just
voting
pay
on,
him. I just pay him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just bills us. Only he gets paid. We don't
it's,
vote on it. It's
No,
unless
it's-
we're gonna keep
I
them.
mean, perhaps the way to say it is that the motion is to pay him for the invoices currently due and to pay him on a monthly basis, so long as we're in this space for that amount.
Well
That
said.
include the equipment already or no?
No, equipment's
Separate.
It's his, yeah.
Oh, it's yours. Okay.
He's leasing it to us.
Just wanna make sure. Okay. I'll get this.
so the motion is to pay the invoices that have already come in for Joey and to continue to pay them on the monthly or bi-monthly
That's it.
basis whenever they come in. And it would only change if we move to the
City Hall.
City Hall. So I make the motion.
Sure.
You
I
said
just
it.
made the motion.
I'll second you.
It's been first and seconded. Vice Chair Seremian,
Yes.
Treasurer Gallardo,
Yes.
Member Herrera,
Yes.
and Chair Nelson, yes. Okay. So our next one is, we've had an ad hoc committee working on tightening up our
Grant Hall.
grant policy. And so I'm going to turn it over to the ad hoc committee.
The members of the committee asked me to kind of make a presentation on what we discussed, and then the board would just kind of talk amongst itself and take whatever public comment on it. But so at the last board meeting, Chair Nelson appointed the ad hoc committee to review the granting policy and to recommend changes to the policy back to this board. And just in short, just to give you a summary, the ad hoc committee is recommending a micro grant program, which I'll explain in a second, and then a larger district-led healthcare initiative program. So the memo that you have highlights what the legal requirements are for a healthcare district like Selma. And the law says that the districts may exercise a bunch of different kinds of powers, but to provide assistance in the operation of free clinics, diagnostic and testing services, health education programs, wellness and prevention programs, rehabilitation, aftercare, and any other healthcare service provider groups, organizations that are necessary for the maintenance of a good physical and mental health in the community that's served by the district. So that tells you what the intent is for the law. And really, as you move forward with grant funding, those are really the kind of the generalized areas that the district should be focusing on. And the law also allows us to have to that effort, allows us to have a grant program, and there are certain requirements that are in the memo that I've provided to you, including having a grant application and listing out the requirements, having an agreement, doing the things that we're doing. So the ad hoc committee considered this and really believes that the district's funds should directly be related to health, wellness, and mental health services in the community. So the way to do this is they are recommending a program that first is the first part of it is pretty similar to what you have, in that the board would issue what we're calling micro grants, and those would be grants not to exceed $5,000 to support health and wellness programs to benefit district residents. And again, very similar to what we have, the ad hoc committee is recommending to limit the micro grant program to a total of not to exceed $50,000 a year. And it's fairly self-contained. The next thing, which would be maybe the greater part of district resources, is to have what the ad hoc is calling a healthcare initiative program. And the idea here is that the way the district grants money right now, the 501c3s, the community organizations come to the district with their concepts. And the district kind of considers concepts that are very diverse. It might be the schools, it might be organizations to benefit children with disabilities. It's kind of coming at every end. We heard last time from a dance studio. What I think the ad hoc committee is saying is perhaps what might be better is for the board to make the determination of the areas they believe are important, to do it in a brainstorming session, and then to come to terms on 2 or 3 areas, and then issue a call to the community for proposals that are consistent with the ideas that are generated by the board. And the ideas can be anything, but some of the ideas that were mentioned are mental health services, mobile clinics, nutrition programs, the cardiac defibrillators, substance abuse, family violence, human trafficking, that those are areas that the board could consider, and there could be others, but to whittle it down to 2 or 3, and then have the board issue a notice of intent to partner. And so that's a notice to the community that says, these are the areas that we want to focus on. Please come to us with proposals within these bands of areas, and then we'll do these larger programs based upon the proposals that we get. So the proposals come in, there's a negotiation, the board and the community organization or the hospital or government will come to terms, and then that concept would be implemented in the community, in part based upon the district. And it may be that the district is financing a portion of it, and maybe the city of Selma is, or law enforcement, or other CBOs, but it's like a partnership in those particular areas. And that's really the concept that the ad hoc committee is recommending. And right now, it would just be, this is just a brainstorming session to come up with some ideas. And if the board agrees with it, then you would come back perhaps at the next meeting, could be a regular meeting, could be a special meeting, to adopt a policy that is brought before you. So that's what we discussed, but I'm going to shut up and have the 2 members of the ad hoc committee fill in the gaps of where I maybe missed.
Thanks, Ken. So you kind of summarized it up, but what we did is, again, we looked at the law. We did research on other healthcare districts, and the ones that are similar to ours. A lot of them still run clinics, hospitals, that's the original intent of this board, is to run health facilities. So there are still some health care districts that provide grants, as we do. So by looking at their website, their information, it seemed like that was the general direction that they had, is they're actually steering where their dollars go. And it seems as though they're able to make bigger impacts in, the health of the community, instead of not having a direction. So, and again, that's when I ran for this board, I was hoping to make, a big impact with some very significant things. Again, some of those things I listed, or we listed here, is just kind of brainstorming. It would be like mobile clinics, thinking maybe possibly we can help monetarily to partner with possibly like the police department on, domestic violence issues. I know there's a huge problem right now with predators with children online. So if there isn't a program at the police, possibly we can partner with them to help fund that. And then just put like the call out to the community and say, okay, if these are the 3 initiatives or 2 that we picked for the year, come with proposals so we can work to get the most benefit out of the money that we do have, along with still business as we have with that micro grant. So we'd still have that available. We don't want to shut it down, but we think we can make a bigger impact steering the direction that we would like the board to go.
Any comment from the?
Yeah, I disagree. This money is allocated to the city. It's taxpayer money, and it's for what the citizens of Selma needs. It's what they want it to go to. What they come and ask for, that's what we are supposed to do, is allocate it to the organizations that are coming to ask for it. And mind you, I don't know how long you've known how long this healthcare board has been in place. You know, right? How long?
Well, it was just dormant for a while. It's been around.
And because nobody ever knew about it, that's why it was
Well,
taking place at the Selma Library.
Well, for
No
years.
one ever knew about it. A little piece of paper was placed on a bulletin board for a meeting, and it was in the back room. Okay, about 8 years ago, when the ex-chair, one of my relatives and myself got on, then everybody was informed of it, everybody. And we've been separated from the hospital for quite a while. So,
Well, we separated from the hospital.
It's for the citizens of Selma for what they're asking for help for. Okay, I understand that we're all in different fields, and we all may seem that we're qualified, or we have the qualification to say, well, I'm in healthcare, or okay. Well, me personally, I'm sitting here in this seat saying that as far as I'm concerned, everything falls under healthcare. It may not be how you see it or how you 3 or 4 see it, but that's how I see it, because the needs of the community, they need the money and they need to be helped, whether it's some or all of it, they need it. It falls under everything: nutrition, physical, mental health, emotional health, safety. We've done for the police department, fire department, all the churches, we should be able to sit here and help from our youngest kid, our youngest of age in this city, all the way to our elderly. It doesn't matter. The point is they're coming here because they need the help. And if you want to start saying, well, this is what should, no, okay. The school board gets the most money in the city. They get millions of dollars. Then it's the city council, which gets way less. And I understand that you guys, you're saying that, oh, well, we should, but our Chair Tucker and all them giving reports for everything that they do for city council, and where all the money goes for, like fireworks show that we had on the 3rd? Are there reports being made of that? So we show reports, right? Because we've had transparency since we've been on this board. Prior to that, there wasn't. There was no transparency. It was just going to whoever they wanted it to go to. So as
I
far as
take
I'm,
offense with that.
as far as I'm concerned, I'm talking and you can talk when I'm
I
done.
will.
Thank you. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, this money is taxpayer money and it's allocated into an account for what the citizens of Selma needs, not what someone who doesn't live in this town, someone doesn't live in this town should be saying where this money should be going, okay? That's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. We should be helping, again, from our youngest citizen to our eldest and every other organization in between, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's healthcare, whether it's a nonprofit. If they're asking for some help, then we should sit here and be able to listen to them and say, you know what? Okay, we can probably help you with this. Not just all go to this, because there's already tons and tons of funding for what you're saying. Tons. There's a lot of money for that. It's just that nobody's asked, it's got to be awarded. There's people here who have that money that are mobile and doing for the homeless and doing all that. They're doing it. They get funding for it. So that's just how I feel. I mean,
I take offense to your comment that only certain people got help years ago when they got this thing going, because that's not true.
okay.
And we put it out there all the time, maybe not on a big billboard. We didn't have the benefit of having it on YouTube. We didn't have the benefit, but some of the benefits that we have now. But if people came and asked us for money, they generally got it. And for all kinds of things and for all kinds of ages. I think what the gentlemen are trying to do is just tighten it up a little, because there's some things we have funded that I personally don't believe fall under healthcare in the way that these monies were intended to be used.
And I hear you. I think we're on the same page, but maybe just looking at it a little differently. But I agree. I mean, we should help everybody in our community. And what we're talking about, we want to do that. But we would like to see a bigger impact. Let's say we vote on the cardiac defibrillators. Whenever there's a cardiac event, you would like to have an AED nearby. So we're talking about possibly having those in the community at large venues. I know the school is having trouble putting them in the schools. I would love to help supply those to the school. There's some.
The schools don't have AEDs.
They have some. They have 8 last time I investigated out of, but that's not enough to cover.
Or
Things like that, we can really make a big impact. So we're thinking the same thing, just going about it a little different. We're looking at more impact for more citizens.
And basically what we've done is we're not changing or eliminating anything in our suggestions. What we've done is put in an outline form to where it does still help all the citizens, but it channels it into a 2-stage program. One is, nothing says in our bylaws or policies that the money that this board takes in, it has to be spent in a calendar year. It could roll over to where if we needed to put a donation to a wing, to a hospital, or some special health issue or event, we've got the funds to do that. I'd like to see a little more than 100,000 in reserves for that special occasion. If it doesn't appear, we can negotiate and figure out we've got more money the following year. But I would like to see an accumulation, because there is no time limit on when we spend this money. The other thing too is there's the limitations on this can kind of, we had talked about this, it's like a 70-30 program. We're still allowing the stuff that we're for the sporting events. We're still going to give out money. It's not, you can't have it, you can't. We're not picking and choosing. What we're doing is we are trying to redesign and have a guideline that will enable us to get the bigger picture for the health benefits of the citizens. We only suggested, this was just an informative meeting. We're trying to say, hey, look, we could hit X, Y, and Z, like Ken had mentioned. Those are just examples. Letitia might have her ideas of where, hey, wait a minute, it's not in the mobile stuff, we need to do this. We're just trying to stimulate your brains to say, hey, what do we need to do here? And Anthony, I congratulate him, because the first thing he did was look to the outside. He looked to the south. What did Kingsford do? How do you learn? You learn from looking at other towns, if it's been successful, and what their format is. You pick and choose. Well, I like the way they did this. I like the way they did that. That could be instrumental in making us a better entity to provide money back to the property taxpayers of our community. That's what we're doing. We're trying to redesign. We're not setting up any walls or barriers or hurdles for anybody. But I think something needs to be done with our process. And that's what this committee was initially their goal. And not for two guys to figure out it's got to be this way. It's just that we created something for everybody to look at and say, oh, wait a minute, you know what? We could do this, and that could be implemented. It's to throw ideas out. But the way, I came up 2 years ago, and I was very excited to grant people money and whatever. And some of the things that we've granted, I'm kind of questioning. I'm not saying it was right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but if we're supposed to help the health, it's hard for me sometimes to draw a parallel line over to some of the stuff that we did grant. And I'm just as guilty because maybe I didn't want to raise my hand and say no, whatever, when it's 5-1 or whatever. That's my issue. But going forward, I think that by tightening up the reins, erasing some of the gray area, and making it more of a directive that will support and strengthen our community. And it's not eliminating anybody. It's, in other words, we're going to have an outline form. We'll have a heading. Whatever we choose, the whole board chooses to elect on the large quantity of money given out in grants, that's a subject matter. Now, if you fall under that heading, it's very simple. You approach us with a grant, or like Ken said, we partner up with another larger police force, whatever the case may be. These are all examples. This is not a direction that we're mandatorily going to take. That's where we're at. We're here just to provide you with thoughts and a process to wake up and say, hey, look, why can't we revamp this to where there might be people that don't know about us, that we haven't reached them in some fashion. So I'm just saying, let's not eliminate who can get funding, or we should only be doing these people. It's not a process of scratching names off the list. It's just reevaluating how we're doing what we do. That's the important thing. Because I think it's like the Wild West. I need to see asphalt streets and cement sidewalks, and not dirt streets and wood sidewalks. You get what I mean? I think we need to advance our policy as how we do things. And that was a suggestion that we came up with, is to revisit this and basically, let's take another look at this thing. There's got to be other ways of doing this, and again, there were, and a lot of there were a lot of podcasts that poke fun at us, and that's what kind of stimulated me. Well, wait a minute, I don't like what he said about our entity, and it shouldn't be. And I'll quote what was said. someone's got a new welfare line and go stand in line for free money. That insulted me. We're here to help the community. So what, by redesigning the way we hand out the money to benefit the health, the key word is health here. The money's coming from property taxes generated by the citizens of Selma. So that's what the money's supposed to go back for, is to help the health, the problems that the city has, Selma, and a fraction of Part Air. You know, it's not to benefit Kingsburg or Fowler or anywhere else. So I'm sorry for talking so much, but this is where we're at. This is what bothers us about how this system is being run right now. We both have the same narrative. We both have the same desires, but I'm just saying that it needs to be channeled into an outline form and not so much freestyle, and give reasons to why we should listen to these people and support, you know, and again, it's endless. We only gave out examples. I think there's a lot of need we don't know about and other people don't know about us. So by doing this, it puts the meshing of citizens that need problems or help with their problems with health with us, our body. And with that, I'm done.
Okay,
Do you want to open up to the public as well?
comments from the public?
Good evening, my name is Evelina Martinez. I was an employee for Pioneer Unified for close to 19 years. I saw how many parents struggled to get mental health for their children, for teenagers. Because I worked towards the end at the high school, and seeing and hearing the struggles that Selma is also having currently with some of our kids and youths. I understand, Mrs. Gallardo, there's a lot of needs everywhere, but I do applaud for you, some of the board members that see it and took it upon themselves to see what other cities are doing. It's the people that are there that are at the board have a great responsibility for the city, and your job shall never be taken lightly. But the needs are extreme in every city, and we need to concentrate on those. We also have to have a wider view of how other cities are dealing with issues. I'm not new to being as an advocate. I used to be a city councilwoman for the city of Sanger for 4 years and a half. I lived in a very impoverished area of Sanger. I know that the community had a lot of needs. And it's nice when the board goes out of their area to go and seek and look and talk to some of their residents in their district to see what is going on. What does the school need? What does the senior citizen center need? So in the accumulation of all of that information, as a group, as you were voted into these positions, you should take that into consideration, that that's who you serve, the citizens. Yes, there's a lot of needs. Yes, maybe the school needs this. But it's even wiser when you have a little bit of funding here, a little bit of funding there, and you get together and you work as a team with other social services where the money could actually make a greater effect. I'm just saying that I do applaud for those that saw that there is maybe something that could be put in writing so that you see that as a target for that particular year. And yes, if there's a reserve for next year, well, guess what? That particular department, club, whatever, might be taken in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Members of the board. My name is Arlene Sandu, and I am the president of the Second Chance Animal Shelter. I know that there are views that animals are not a part of human health care, but that is very untrue. According to the California state law pertaining to health and safety, it is cities and jurisdictions' responsibility to make sure that the rabid animals do not overrun the streets. And so that is why you employ animal control services. And those are the types of services that Second Chance is contracted with the city to provide. We do have vaccination clinics, we do vaccinate animals, we do pick up the strays off of the streets to make sure that they are safe so that they do not attack other members of the community, our children, our elderly. Unfortunate events happened, a couple of months ago where somebody lost their life. Can't really further comment on that case. However, animal control was there to help in that situation. However, these types of situations can be prevented with better vaccination, better education, better training, spay and neuter programs. I was just approached by code enforcement today saying, hey, how can you help with the feral cat population? And I told them honestly, at this point we can't because we have no funding. So those are things that we need to, as a healthcare district, because as we know, that's a problem. That's a code enforcement problem, and that is a healthcare problem. Having that many animals spreading disease, and cats carry disease that are communicable to humans. So those are the things that we also need to work on. I applaud you for wanting to direct money towards things, but it should be spread across the board. I mean, not just actual physical health, mental health, physical health, all of that tied together. She pointed out that, there's a big problem with the mental health of our youth. And that is true. And I told her she come to the shelter to come help look at animals, feel better, or help train animals to be emotional support animals. Those are types of resources that are available. There are a lot of dogs out there that need homes, that need rehabilitation, that can still go on and help members of the community function and live their daily lives. So, thank you for wanting to put funding towards better causes, but we do need to look at, not just other healthcare clinics, mobile clinics, or even, cardiac arrest, defibrillators and all of that, but we also need to look at other sources of our community that do need the help. And that do need, because we just had a very, very tragic situation and the community is very, very scared and they're wanting answers. But the answer is more funding. Thank you.
I have a comment. Thank you for sharing. It's things like those that, again, they are what we're thinking to go with this new initiatives, what we're talking about. Mental health being a big one. Since 2020 and the people being stuck at home, that's created a huge problem with mental health. And then with the animals and things that you're bringing up, if those were brought up as, these are some of the ideas that you can vote on to direct for next year, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for brainstorming ideas. So again, not to possibly look at funding that through our old system. Let's fund it maybe possibly through this new channel. I think we'd have a bigger impact, partnering in this new way versus the old way.
Any other comments? I thank the community for what they've had to say. So our next step in this would be to,
Well, if there's consensus to move forward with the concept, we come back to the board with a new kind of amended. We have a grant policy right now, the Selma Local Healthcare District Grant Program, grant making policy, and we modify it to account for this new concept. And again, just to be clear, it's not a program to take less community input. The idea would be to get more community input and to spread the dollars out, especially on the micro side. So the idea then would be to bring back a revised policy for your consideration and public comment,
and would the ad hoc committee do that?
if you so desire them to do.
Okay, do we have any comments? Motions?
I mean, are you guys done looking into this? Are you guys gonna go and ask more, like go to other communities and see, Or you're good with what you guys,
I think at this point, we're happy with what we have, what was, Kim presented for us. He summarized it really well. Yeah, we did research looking at different other healthcare districts, and again, this kind of seems to be the pattern.
Or their
The
style.
style pattern, the way, the direction. We did like the micro grant because we didn't want to completely drop that avenue where we can still fund, some of the requests that we're getting now. We're just gonna put a cap on it, but we'll still have it.
You say cap, you mean dollar cap.
A dollar cap,
which would be what?
which would be allocated $50,000 for the year,
But at $5,000 caps, right?
$5,000 per request. Yeah, so I don't see us changing that. What we would like to do is, again, brainstorm with more ideas. Again, we put a few here with like initiatives that we can pick for the upcoming year. We can pick maybe 2 to 3 that we want to focus on and allocate dollars towards those. That's the direction that we're looking at going.
And I think that the design of this resculpturing or granting of money is that the board would pick the headlines, in an outline form, we would pick mental health, whatever, I think as a body, pick the titles and then reach out to the public as to what can we do for you under that heading? Where do you fit? In other words, it's not something that is going to be determined. The outlines not every year going to be the same. It's we pick the subjects on the major side.
But you leave the smaller grants open to,
Exactly, like Second Chance, or I'm just saying, I use you as an example, is that we're not changing that policy. What we're trying to do is better to open up the eyes to the community as far as what they can achieve from us. What can we do for them? Or in that aspect, and not limiting it to what we've been seeing. In a sense, we are, but in other words, we're trying to open this thing up to help the health of the community, I think, on a larger scale. And it's something that would, the headings on the initiatives would be what the board finds, what we'll pick and choose. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. It's infinite, I think, what headings can be as far as the health for the Selma citizens, and a little bit of Port Arthur. So all we're doing is we're altering this in an outline form, how the process will be distributed. So, like I said, I'll use Second Chance because they're here. I'll use Babe Ruth. These are the little, the girls
Smaller.
basketball, whatever the case may be. We're not cutting anybody out of the equation. What we're doing is we're kind of making a couple different categories. And besides that, I like the big picture I personally don't know what the community needs, but holding on to some of the money, and it carries over from year to year. If we needed to build a community center, we needed something to where it would promote health. We have the money to partner up with somebody or to do it ourselves. A donation to the hospital, a special wing, or, whatever. I'm just saying, that helps everyone in the community also.
so if I understand this right, we would have like a special meeting to decide where we wanted the larger grants to focus.
Well, I think the idea was you'd have an annual meeting to figure out your priorities for the following
Just
year.
like a budget.
But you'd have a special meeting, I think, sooner than later, just to adopt the policy so you're able to implement it for next year.
Right.
But, and one other comment I wanted to make was one of the things that I talked with Director Herrera about is the idea of this notion of leveraging money. So if you decide, for example, that healthcare, childhood mental health care is important to you, you could issue a notice of intent to partner with others where if they want to agree, if we agree upon a program as a board, you could have them, it could be like a matching thing where this board can contribute $50,000 and, you know, Adventist, for example, could contribute $50,000 to pair up, to initiate a program on mental health. It's just an example. I mean, it could be anything, but those are the kinds of things that you can ask for under this notice of intent to partner to say, you know, we want our dollars to have a larger effect, and they can do that by pairing up together in the community. It just as an example. You know, public comment.
Can I ask a question? So those partnerships, are they only for other businesses that are nonprofit? Well, let's say you want to partner up with somebody that is for mental health, but they're not a nonprofit. What is the?
Well, the policy is always, and it's actually in the statute too. It says governments, hospitals, which typically are nonprofit entities, and then 501c3 nonprofits. And that's actually under the under the statute on granting in the health and safety code, that's actually specified. So we would be prohibited from partnering directly with a for-profit. However, let's say you, just as an example, you teamed up with Adventist on a behavioral health project, whatever it is. Adventist, for example, could retain individuals who are not nonprofits, right, to implement the program. So there's flexibility in terms of how you do it, but the direct dollars have to either go to a government, a hospital, or a nonprofit.
Because I don't know if you guys know, but is MAPS, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The non-mental, mental health?
Yeah.
MAP?
Yeah.
Okay, is that a nonprofit organization?
The one down the street?
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
is.
Yeah.
And does anyone
Where's
know
that
if
at?
that is
Yeah.
our only?
It's
mental
county.
health?
Isn't that the
County?
county one?
I think it is county.
Then it would be government.
Okay, so something like that would be able to come here and ask for money.
Which
Or
is,
try to partner up.
which is a good example. It's a, yeah.
And we would like to have, if we, let's say we chose mental health as one of our initiatives, and MAP came and they came to request funds, I would like to see them use those funds for something new that helps the community instead of something that they already have funding for. You know what I mean? Something that.
Kind of like partnering up with Second Chance with the kids, mental health, and animals.
Awesome. Yeah. So actually what comes to mind, and it's kind of an interesting example of what's already happening in the community, is so First Five Fresno County is a governmental agency that's funded with tobacco tax dollars. But they used to get like, oh my gosh, like $13 million a year, but because people are smoking less, the revenues are going down. I think it's about $8 million. And so they made a conscious decision to change their approach. They require that dollars be leveraged. So they team up with various behavioral health organizations and hospitals and the county, and they say, okay, we'll bring this pot of money to the table, but you have to bring something to the table. And you have to manage it, and we'll support you in leveraging that. So it may be that a hospital might bring the people and the labor, for example, but First Five will bring in the dollars. And that's, I think, the concept that we were talking about, is the idea of spreading the dollars throughout the community more, so everybody is bringing something to the party, if you will.
Any other comments?
So so what you guys want to do is, I get this partnering, but before you do any of that, there's going to be like a wording, right, in writing, what they're doing, what we're going to be doing for them, and then we're all going to overlook it. we're all still here.
Exactly. So
Right, and then the money will get allocated for that.
that's right. So
Okay.
you
And
as a
it's gonna
board,
be over the $5,000 limit.
Correct.
If it's needed for that.
exactly. So you as a board, so director, you might say, I really, the X is really important to me. And the board agrees, and then you agree, let's say on 2, you'll release this document called a notice of intent to partner, and you'll say, we are interested in this area, please come to us at this meeting or maybe in advance of the meeting with some proposals. You'll go through the proposals, and at that point, you'll select which ones are important to you
Okay.
in a very transparent and open way.
And that would happen at public meetings.
Has to.
Yeah. I'd like, my personal opinion is I'd like the board, the ad hoc committee to take the next step and bring a revised proposal to us.
You mean policy?
Policy that we can look at and vote on. It's a good thing he's here.
Yeah, okay, I understand the direction. Based upon the comments mentioned. today.
Right.
So then at the next meeting, you would adopt the policy, and then you would hopefully come up with the priorities that you want for calendar year 2023.
I would think that once we adopted it, then we would have to have a special meeting.
You could do that in one meeting.
Yeah,
If you
you could.
decide to adopt it, you can, that's item A, and then item B is
So
2.
each of us could be looking at what we think
Initiative.
is an initiative that would be important, and we bring that to that
And
December meeting.
that's the important part of this deal is getting all 5 of us on board with the initiatives, because my ideas could be completely different than Letitia's and versus Anthony's or Colleen's, you know what I mean? So the outline, the concept of restructuring how this board operates and gives the money is without exclusions of anything. It's just a matter of, we've got a direction now. And I think that's key, is that we need to find the importance and do it in that fashion. So that's how we came, and I agree, I just wanted to get everyone's opinion and let them know where we were at. It's not a process of eliminating anybody. It's redirecting on how we can distribute the funds
Yeah, I
through a
understand.
grant. Yeah.
So do we,
For the next meeting, we'll have the policy revised. Hopefully adopt, vote on 3 initiatives. In the meantime, could we send our personal initiatives that we would like to Debbie to compile on a list that she would bring to the meeting, and we would kind of go from there? Or would we take that next meeting? and
It's an interesting problem.
Brainstorm.
Sort of presents a Brown Act issue there.
yeah,
Individually.
My advice would be that you come to the meeting prepared with the concepts, and then, and again, it's just a generalized category of saying, we agree on these 2 or 3 ideas, and then, based upon that, the board releases this intent to partner concept. And then that's when you start to consider ideas and, to put more meat on the bones. if you will.
Sounds good.
okay, so then I will direct you guys to go back.
I think so. I think it should be a special. Well, we're in a calendar year where some of us don't know what's going to come in after November.
Right, we have new
Okay.
people coming in.
And to eliminate those that changing of seats and having to re-educate the new people. And they're gonna be newbies like I was, not knowing exactly, being comfortable. I would rather see this come before our scheduled last meeting of the year, where this body, as it sits now, exists, will be the ones to vote on this and make the suggestions. I'm just
Our next meeting is December
December 1st, so
1st,
that's after the election.
and the new people take over December 1st, they do January 1st.
Yeah. No,
They take over in the,
December, right?
We meet in February.
yeah, they would do this February.
Oh, okay, well, if
Because
that's,
they take over and
well, I'm just trying to keep
I don't know
this
if that's
body,
lost.
you know what I mean, Letitia? I'm just trying to keep us in.
I think I remember,
I think we'd have to
Rosie.
double check it.
yeah, Rosie came,
Yeah, but
but I think she,
and
We were on
almost
Zoom
receded,
because
but we
I think we were on
didn't meet
Zoom when I
in
got
meeting,
sworn in,
heck, we did.
and it was November.
but
Oh, yeah, it was.
We-
It
we-
was, when
we
I
can
got
check.
on, yeah.
It's in the bylaws and it's in the statute. We can look.
Okay.
Do you want to schedule a special meeting sometime the next few weeks?
Well, I was thinking if we did something at the last week of
Yeah,
October, and I know we went over this, trying to schedule this special meeting. Everyone had
we're
conflict, but
still here.
I was just thinking the closest we can get before election or after election. You know, we still, even if the election changes, the seats change, during the month of November, this body would still be intact,
Okay, that's okay.
correct?
The only day I'm available would be October
We're
24th
still here.
of the last week of October.
I was
Unfortunately, because I have board meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Can we end sooner in October? Or that's the, for.
Well, how long is it gonna take you to, most of the stuff is here, so,
Oh, I can have it done in a week or two,
okay. So if we do 2 weeks,
but you're gonna need time to consider.
well, exactly, so sooner is better.
I'm only gone the 15th through the 22nd, so I can't do anything the week of 17, 18, 19, 20,
That's the
21.
24th work.
I'm working and I'm on call that day. But anything sooner in the month?
24th,
Well, he can't,
I'm on
Anthony's on
call.
call.
25th.
I'm out that whole week after that for board meetings, but I could do the week of the 10th. I could do the 10th. The
11th?
no, 11th, I have a conflict 12th. I could do the 10th or the 13th.
But Colleen, you're gone.
No,
Oh, you're
I
not?
leave the 15th. I'm here the 13th.
Okay, well, either one of those 2 dates work for me.
How about you, Letty?
The 13th,
Does that work for you?
6 o'clock.
Yeah, it works the 13th for Letty.
I'll see if I can swap shifts. I'm working that day, but it's possible.
Are you available on the 10th?
That's my call shift. I'm like,
I have another board meeting that night at 5 o'clock. Unfortunately, I do a lot of night board meetings.
I'll see if I can swap shifts on the 13th.
Okay, so for right now, we're doing the 13th at 6 o'clock,
And that's a special meeting.
special meeting, correct?
And the only limitation on a special meeting is that you cannot add items to the agenda. So we'll have to, like item number 5 would go away, additions to agenda. That's the only limitation for a special meeting. And you have to post the agenda 24 hours in advance.
So the next meeting is when?
Tentatively October 13th.
About 6 o'clock.
Okay,
And,
so-
and then after that, we have a regular meeting was what, December what?
December 1st, and
Okay,
then you'll check and see,
Yeah, whenever people see it.
yeah.
We still have
Okay.
another item on. the
Yeah, we
agenda.
do. Okay, so Letty, you're on.
For,
Well, you wanted to talk about the animal shelter, although
Right.
Harvey,
yeah, I just wanted to be reconsidered considering that a citizen lost his life. I think they need the money, they need to be funded so that, we can keep the community safe. It's a safety to the community, to all the citizens, And I don't know what's, one person lost their life. I mean, we don't need any more. They need the help and like I said, that Richard Berry, who lost his life, was 59 years old. Citizen Selma, I mean, his sister-in-law tried to help him and she couldn't either. So, you know, I'm just saying, I think we should reconsider the animal shelter grant. that
They're
asking.
coming back in December. And I have a comment about that.
But you don't-
I am, they're,
suppose you can-
oh, were you through?
Yeah.
I don't think it would have mattered. I don't think the shelter could have done one thing to stop that poor man's death. It was, those dogs got out of somebody's yard and they went after somebody. I think you made I like what you said about the health aspect of the dog shelter. And I welcome you to bring it back in December.
The comment that I have on that is, I understand where you're coming from with Tisha and wanting to bring it back but what I take it back to is the proposal that you brought before this board. It was in regards to cleaning supplies, had nothing to do with the safety aspect of, the animal control.
We asked for vaccination.
Yeah, exactly.
Vaccination for health and safety code for rabies.
Right.
And that is part of California health and safety code, so rabid animals cannot run.
Right, I understand that, but the reason that Leticia was asking to bring it back was regards to the accident that happened, the unfortunate accident that happened. But again, your request wasn't about that. Again, that request wouldn't have mattered. But if you come
Unfortunately, in
back,
the case of the mauling, nothing that anybody could have done really would have
Well,
mattered.
And again, and without being critical, I understand the misfortune of this gentleman. I could understand if you came to us, let's just say hypothetically, one of your dogs that you were storing got out, mauled this guy and killed him. And you came to us to enforce your fence. I'm being sincere, okay? I'm just saying, if you came to us and said, we needed funding, I need to fortify this fence to keep our dogs in, and the dog got out, and we didn't grant the money for the fence, the dog got out, mauled somebody, killed somebody, I can see a direct parallel. That makes sense to me. Oh, shame on us, we didn't give you the money because you were requesting to protect your contents and the dogs and to deal with the fence. But drawing a parallel between cleaning supplies and vaccinations to a guy that got mauled far, far away from you, it's an unfortunate incident, but I don't think it falls on your back unless they came up with some determination that Second Street had something to do with those dogs and they were the result of killing the man. I'm just,
Revised proposal, ready to come back.
yeah, and that's why I'm saying, I'm fine with you guys coming back and asking us, and I think that it's all gonna work out with how we're micromanaging in this and that. So we're making
Right.
changes to make everybody available.
I think it just should be to note that it's just not.
And I understand, but in justification, I'm just saying that the way I look at it, that basically you got us piggybacking on your back because this guy get killed, and it's not really the true statement. Anyway, that's my spin on it.
The animal shelter, the people who work there, they are considered first responders. Just, if you're not aware, they are considered first responders. So
It
they
is true
do a
because
service to the
police
community.
officers did not and do not go after the dogs. They wait for our animal control officer to go after them.
But again, like I said, the stipulation of what you requested from us, the items that you requested from us, really has no bearing on the fact that this guy got mauled by 5 dogs that got out from a private citizen. Like I said, I kind of drew it in to a directive to where we would have had issues. Anyway. But we welcome you at the next meeting.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so our next meeting is on the 13th of October. It's going to be a special meeting. It's going to deal with the policy, grant policy. And then our next meeting will be December 1st, where we will take a grant proposal.
So the grants that are written proposals that you're going to be taking December 1st, are they going to be with this new policy or with the old policy?
We don't know at this point.
Because the next special meeting is to possibly adopt the new policy or not. It's not final yet.
We have to vote on that. So you might go with the thinking of the new policy. Yeah, you know. Yeah, well, I think they've come up with a pretty good vision.
And it will be posted on your website right after the meeting.
Yes, yeah.
By Monday, Okay, if there's no
When
other
are the
comment,
proposals due for the next meeting?
3 weeks before the meeting in December. Whatever that,
Meet in December, so it would be November.
or November. So Joey will have it on the website 3 weeks before December 1st.
Joey, I have a question. So when will this meeting air to the public?
It's aired.
It's aired.
live.
Oh, it's live? It's on now? No? It will be on tonight.
It'll be on tonight.
Okay.
Special.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Yes.
then our meeting is adjourned.
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Do you have all the motions and the makers and everything? Because I wrote notes, but I don't know. I assume you have it.